and I'm honored to be lining up with him. So he is really an expert in this topic of Purview and data compliance. So shout out also to him. Great session. And yeah, hello. Thank you for the intro, Yaya. I just share my screen. So you should all be able to see my screen right now. My name is Fabio Bonolo. Yeah, I'm team leader productivity at Red IT, Microsoft 365 Copilot MVP, but I do also have the SC401 certification for the information security. So I'm a little bit, yeah, I have a little bit of knowledge regarding Purview and data security and data compliance, but we are looking today at the topic of Copilot governance. Here you see my QR code. This leads you to my LinkedIn profile, so feel free to connect. I'm happy to connect either way. If you have any further questions after the session, or if you want to have the slides, just feel free to slide it to my DMs, put me a private message on LinkedIn, and I'm happy to help you out. Yeah, so what's the agenda for today? First of all, I'd like to structure my sessions like that I start with the fundamentals, because not everybody has the same knowledge base. So I'd like to get everybody on the same page. Afterwards, we go into the topic itself, so the blueprint for the Copilot governance. So it is the top 10 critical factors, but it is not the whole governance or compliance part, but I just want to share with you a blueprint that I also use in my customer projects. And then, of course, we have a big chunk of the session is the live demo. So we will go through the factors or through the governance controls that we have for Microsoft 365 Copilot. And in the end, we should have some time for Q&A. So if you have any questions during the presentation piece, please feel free to use the chat. We'll look afterwards in the chat and answer your questions. So let's start with the fundamentals of Microsoft 365 Copilot. I'm sure most of you know this stuff. So Copilot grounds in our M365 data. It grounds in Microsoft Graph and has access to most or all our data, from meetings to chat interactions to SharePoint sites to files, etc. The user access is always inherited by Copilot, so Copilot only has access to information within Microsoft Graph that the user has especially permissions for, so there are no separate control regarding permissions. So it is crucial that your permission model and permission structures in Microsoft 365 itself are already on a good basis, on a good level. Then we have something called the Enterprise Data Protection with Microsoft 365 Copilot. This is a control from Microsoft out of the box that offers compliance, responsible AI pillars, and protection against cyber attacks. So here in some details, inputs, processes, and responses that you use in Copilot. So your prompts, the responses from Copilot, etc. They're not used for training the LLM. That's, in my opinion, a very good strategic decision from Microsoft. So they don't develop their own LLMs. They buy it in from OpenAI, from Anthropic nowadays, and they have no training of the LLMs. So Anthropic and OpenAI are these ones that use data for training their LLMs, for getting their LLMs better. Microsoft just uses it for their purpose in Copilot. Microsoft does not have access to data regarding contract regulations that are in place globally. And another part that's really important, I don't know if it is important for you guys in India, but in the European Union and the European region, it's really important that the whole data processing part, how data is stored, how data is processed, remains in the selected geographical region of your M365 tenant. So this is a huge, crucial part of each European company that wants to leverage AI and AI in a compliant manner. And also one part of the fundamental is that, as you see, Copilot has a lot of security restriction, permission restriction. It also the orchestrator in behind is not so creative and interpretation friendly like it is with other AI tools. So a good prompting structure really helps Copilot to generate high quality answers. So the more detailed and the more context you can deliver in your prompt, the better is the quality or the subjective quality of the answer from Copilot. So these so far from a fundamentals part of view. Now let's dive into the Copilot governance topic. I have one that is out of scope for today, but it is really important that you know that what I will be showing you afterwards is just a part of the governance, because the other part that for today's session is out of scope is the workplace perspective. So we have Defender XDR, where Copilot is part of security ecosystem, not just isolated from it. We have Cloud Apps policies, we have file policies that apply to how Copilot processes data. We also have some controls how to block or manage external AI apps. So here, this is from the Defender part. Then in Entra ID, we have, of course, the identity, the permissions that are in control also for Copilot, as I stated before. Also relatively new is the agent ID in Entra ID, which is a control for managing agents. Then we have Intune, of course, because Copilot responses can be influenced where and on what devices user works. So you can restrict Copilot's access or functionality on devices or on networks from Intune. Of course, Purview is a big topic. I won't go into the details of every single Purview control there is, but what there is to know is that Copilot is deeply integrated in advanced compliance mechanism. We talk about data loss prevention policies. We talk about data secure posture management for AI. We talk about different kind of things on where Copilot can be scoped in. For example, also retention policies is such a topics. So this is also from a workplace perspective. And then also we have the Power Platform, especially when we are working with agents and Copilot Studio. Here we have our own governance framework with the free zone model of Microsoft, with dev prod environments, with DLPs for HTTP requests, etc., etc. So here we are talking about governance and control about agents and availability of functionalities, channels, etc. And on the last part, we will look into the Microsoft 365 Admin Center, of course. Of course, we will look also into Purview. But what's out of scope from a workplace perspective is the whole licensing part, the whole setup, organization settings, pay-as-you-go services like Archive and things like that that have impact on how Copilot works. But these are out of scope. Just keep in mind that the governance part that we will look into also here in this workplace perspective, we have some governance control that can be interesting and relevant for you guys or for your organization. But the blueprint that we are looking into today is more like, from a business perspective, I'd like to say. So how Copilot can be leveraged, how Copilot's functionalities can be leveraged, out-of-the-box agents, how we can control data quality, how we can control data security that is being processed by Copilot. So this is the topic that we are looking into today. And for that, I have prepared a little blueprint for you, which I will guide you also through. Now, the blueprint is structured within 6 categories. The first category, in my opinion, is the organizational level. So what I see is that, we don't have an AI adoption strategy. We will look into that. And here, for my perspective, what I do with my customers is, first of all, define a risk profile. So how deep do you want to integrate Copilot? Which users have or groups have access to Copilot? How do you want to leverage the new functionalities like Frontier program, like preview features, etc.? And this is more of like a strategic kind of view that we look into afterwards on how we want to use or govern Copilot as an organization. Then the second part, of course, is the Copilot Control System in the Microsoft 365 Admin Center. Here we will look into the access and data settings that are really, really crucial for a security point of view. And we will look also into the Agent 365 or the agent management controls that were or are, so to say, a menu itself in the admin center, but was a long time a part of the Copilot control system. And for me, the Copilot control system is a whole where also the Agent 365 and agent management controls are part of it. Then we have the third category, which is the SharePoint Admin Center. So we have to make sure that sharing and access settings are in place and are in a good way. There we have some best practices that we look into it. And also we have, with a Copilot license, we get SharePoint Advanced Management, which allows us to use some governance controls on site level. This is regarding data quality as well as data security. In my opinion, also Teams meeting policies and Teams apps policies are really, really important, because there we can control how, for example, the facilitator agent is being used, if we can use a Copilot in Teams meetings, if we can use the interpreter agent in Teams meetings, etc. So here we have also some crucial controls that are relevant for the user experience in the end. Then, of course, Microsoft Purview is one part that we will look into. For me, also here, we are talking about the crucial factors. Again, we have the workplace perspective that are also relevant for Copilot controls. But here I'm talking about an organization that wants to implement Copilot, that wants to start off with Copilot. And these are the crucial factors. And in my opinion, in Purview, it's the audit and monitoring that Raphael also talked about earlier on, and the sensitivity labels for enhancing data access, governance, and also controlling how Copilot, or if Copilot, can process certain information. And the last part of the blueprint, the number 10 critical factor, are the cloud policies in the Microsoft 365 Apps Admin Center. Also here we will look into the live demo. If you want to enable web search, for example, if you want to enable loop components, which are relevant for using Copilot pages and Copilot notebooks and things like that. So this is the blueprint. I'll give you some seconds to make a screenshot if you want to. You can use that, of course. This is my blueprint for an organization who wants to start off with Copilot. And these are the 10 factors, or the 10 areas that I will go into with our customers, just to start off before enhancing then also the workplace capabilities with Defender, Entra, Intune, Power Platform, etc., as I mentioned before. Good. Again, if you have any questions or concerns, please feel free to use the chat. So we will have also a little time afterwards to use or to go into your questions. Now, let's look a little bit deeper into the blueprint and level out the different or the top 10. So number one, it's not chronological. It's just like how I structured it. It's not the number one is the most important one, and number 10 the least important one. That's not the case. It's just the 10 areas that I will cover with our customers. So number one, the organizational part, is the risk profile. And why do we need a risk profile? So what I see in a lot of our organizations is there is no intentional AI adoption strategy. Sometimes agents are available. Sometimes, if a customer or if a user asks the IT department, hey, can I have a Copilot license? Yeah, you can have it. We have also the possibility that end users just can purchase a Copilot license if they want to, if we don't control it. So we don't have anything in place from an organizational perspective. We don't have key user. We don't have a good strategy in adopting or multiplying the functionalities of Copilot. And especially the last part is what I see also from not only from a Copilot perspective, but also from a data governance perspective. If we are talking about data structures, if we are talking about permission models, etc., in organization, there is a lot of times a lack of mutual understanding in how a data should be secured. and how permissions models should work. And this is not only crucial for our own Microsoft 365 environment itself, but especially crucial when an AI is behind and finds information that the user maybe doesn't know that he has access to. So here we have a lot more risk. And that's why what I do first with my customer is implement a risk profile. And this is the matrix that I use. So we have a functionality perspective. So everything is available or nothing is available, or nobody has access to the functionalities, or everybody has access. And here we have 3 profiles that we can choose from. So on top right, everything and everybody is an open kind of a profile that we have. So we want to leverage Copilot with as many users as we want, as innovative as possible. So we are part of the Frontier program. We use preview features. We want to use Anthropic as a large language model, even though in EU, for example, it's not yet compliant and therefore not available. But this is the basic risk profile that we have. We want to be open. Then we have these 2 balanced. There are 2 ways, in my opinions, how you can balance your Copilot adoption. On one hand, we are innovative with functionalities, so we are part of the Frontier program, for example, but we just make Copilot available for specific users or specific groups. So we don't want to spread the word or spread the functionalities in Copilot through our whole organization, but want to use them or want to use some pilot groups and extend gradually how the functionalities, or which users, which groups gets the licenses. Also here, the balanced part on the lower right part is that we are restrictive with our functionalities. So we are not part of the Frontier program, for example. We don't have Anthropic large language model functionalities integrated, but we want to spread the licenses as broad as possible. We want to use those personal and team productivity that Copilot offers throughout our organization. And the third and most restrictive profile is the strict profile. So we have just a few user and groups that have access to Copilot and the restrictive handling of features. So each feature has to undergo some compliance controls, has to undergo some analysis before they can be deployed to users. So it depends on which branch or in which area your organization is in. So for example, a financial organization, a finance organization, or an insurance company should be more or less here in the strict area. Although if you are, a consulting company that has not much sensitive data that they work with, I suggest more an open or a balanced strategy. So again, here there is no one right profile that can be leveraged by each organization. So it depends with what kind of data you are working. It depends what kind of regulations you have in your organization from a government perspective, etc. But this is one thing that I suggest to my customers. Make sure that you know how you want to leverage Copilot and make those decisions regarding the governance, regarding licensing, regarding functionalities, based on what you want to do and how you see yourself as an organization using AI. Yeah, and of course I could go into all the other 10s or all the other 9s factors of the Copilot governance as a PowerPoint slide, but I rather use a live demo so that we can go through the different admin centers so that you see on what am I talking about and which controls am I talking about. So therefore I will go here into the, I was right already, here we are. You should see my admin center right now. Please give me a thumbs up if you see my admin center, if everything works. Okay, thanks Yaya, thanks Sanka, perfect. So the second part of the blueprint that I showed you before is the Copilot Control System. So the Copilot Control System, we find it here in the Microsoft 365 Admin Center. And of course, we do have also topics like Copilot connectors, but for me, it's not a crucial part of the governance if we want to integrate our Jira or our Salesforce or our SAP or whatever. For me, are these settings. So for one part, the user access, and for the other part, the data access. So in the user access, what I want to look into is the Copilot Frontier. So do I want Frontier features available for all users, no users, no specific user? Again, think of the risk profile that we defined in advanced. So if you have an open part or an open profile, I would recommend all users. If you are more balanced, then maybe some specific users and groups that you can choose. Or are you more strict and you don't want to be part of the Frontier program, so don't allow the access. Then what I'm also looking into in this one is the self-service purchases. So if you want that your users can upgrade Copilot, if you want that your users are able to get a trial license, for example, for themselves, then you allow the self-service trials and purchases for the users. If you want to have more control or centralized control, I would allow trials only, or even do not allow. So this is also one thing in the user access that I'm looking into it with my customers, how you want to leverage and how you want to motivate your users to get Copilot or to upgrade Copilot to the premium versions. And the pinning, of course, Copilot chat in the apps, in all our apps, etc. This is also something interesting. More relevant is the data access. More relevant. Why? Because we have here one part that is really relevant for European customers. It's the AI providers operating as Microsoft sub-processors. So we know that Microsoft now has terms and conditions with Anthropic. We have to allow it. We have to allow Anthropic if we want to use a Claude as a large language model in an agent or in Copilot itself. If you want to use Claude as a large language model for our own built agents in Copilot Studio. And here, in my opinion, Microsoft goes a strategy of more providers. So it is a signal that now Anthropic coming in, that maybe other providers of AI large language models are being made available as Microsoft sub-processors. So also here for me, it's a strategic decision if you want to leverage these kind of providers, but risking, of course, some downfalls in compliance and data regulations. So this is something that you have to decide and to set if you want to enable or disable Anthropic, in this case, in the data access. And of course, here the agents, this is, I think, a control that will vanish over time, because this control, we have the same one in the Agent 365 on who can access agents, who can share agents, and which type of apps the agents can be used in your organization. That we will look into the Agent 365. So these are the 3-4 crucial things that I look into. So the user access, data access in the Copilot Control System, to make sure that we are on the same page as an organization. Then in the Agent 365, interesting here is the all agent, the registry. So we see all agents from Microsoft, our own agents that we built and published from our organization, and third-party apps. And here we have the possibility to deploy, block, or just let the agents stay here inside. Also here you see the Frontier agents, which is important for you. If you said that you don't want to be part of the Frontier program, maybe you can block these kind of agents, or you can just not deploy them. If you don't deploy them, the users will see them in their Copilot app as an agent, but they cannot open it. If you don't want that the users see these kind of agents in their app, you have to block them. So you can here block the agents. For me, I have 3 blocked agents. Disappointingly, I have to say, Excel, PowerPoint, and Word, this could be very, very interesting agents, but they are running on Claude. and Claude is not compliant with the EU regulations. That's why I block them. I don't want that the users even see these kind of agents. More interesting also here in the Agent 365 are the settings. So also here you see exactly those controls that we see earlier on in the Copilot Control System. So who can access agents? I can say who can share agents with anyone in the organization and which agent types are allowed. So I have customers that have only the agents allowed by your organization and not even the Microsoft ones. If you disable this control here, so you don't allow Microsoft agents, you have to make sure that each agent is deployed. So each out-of-the-box agent, so researcher, analyst, prompt coach, for example, SharePoint page agent, and each standard out-of-the-box agent from Microsoft, you have to deploy actively here through all agents, because it's not deployed automatically when you have this control disabled. This is really, really important to note that you have some consequences here on how you set these kind of settings. Good. This so far for the admin center. Now we look into SharePoint. And SharePoint, of course, I won't take too much time into this. This is really clear. This is the main sharing and access control settings that we can set. So make sure that you haven't allowed anyone links. Make sure that, maybe you have view permissions on shared links. Here I am more or less open. There are some companies or organizations that are more restrictive when sharing outside the organization, but here make sure that you have these kind of settings set. More important for Copilot are the SharePoint Advanced Management functionalities. So on one part you have, I can go here into my demo site, for example, you have site access level restrictions, so you can restrict content from Copilot. This does not what you think it does. So it doesn't make sure that Copilot doesn't process this kind of data that lies in this demo site or in this SharePoint site. It's just that when you haven't interacted recently with data from this site and you are not an owner of data in this site, or documents, for example, then it is restricted from Copilot. But when we have interacted recently with this kind of data in this site, Copilot sees this documents or this data and processes it. So it is a little bit halfway good, but it doesn't do what you think. Restricted site access is also an interesting part of the SharePoint Advanced Management. So every time you see here a pro symbol, this is a SharePoint Advanced Management feature. Here you can restrict site access from the search. So people that don't have access to the site cannot search or find these kind of sites, neither can Copilot. More interesting is also the site lifecycle management. This goes more to data quality. So on one hand, we have the data security topic, which means that we have to make sure that Copilot doesn't have access to information that he shouldn't have access to, or that the user shouldn't have access to. But the other hand is, because Copilot has so many restrictions, we have to make sure that our data quality is on spot. And this is more of like an organizational topic, because each day we are working with data, we are storing new data, we are working with data, we are generating duplicates, we are generating, versions, etc. And here it was a long time, really difficult, 10 minutes, okay, really difficult on how to control that as an admin. And with the admin controls, we have a possibility with the site lifecycle management. So we have automatic controls on when a site is inactive, that the owner gets an email and says, hey, your site has been inactive for 6 months, for example. What do you want to do? Do you want to archive this site? Do you want to delete it, or do you still use it? And so we can make sure with this kind of policies that we have here, also with ownership policies, attestation policies, to make sure that sites are actually being used and not just lay there as dead sites and irritate Copilot in his processing and in his grounding. Of course, we have some other features like reportings, data access governance reports that we can do, but I won't go into that one. Then we have meeting settings, Teams meetings policies, especially here in the this part with where is it? Recording and transcription. Yeah, so for Copilot to be working in Teams meeting, we have at least the transcription to be activated. Without the transcription, we can't use Copilot in meetings. And what I suggest here is the real-time text, because this is important for using interpreter agent and live captions in Teams meetings. So that somebody, I'm speaking in English, for example, if you activate interpreter, you will hear myself in Indian, for example. And for that to be able to use, you have to activate real-time text and the live captions. And of course, the other part in Teams Admin Center are the Teams apps, because here we control how, for example, the facilitator is being used. So the facilitator, interestingly enough, is an out-of-the-box agent from Microsoft, but is not available or not controllable through the Agent 365, because it is so deeply integrated in Teams. It is here as a Teams app, and here we can control the facilitator, if it is available to everyone, is it is blocked, unblocked, etc. And yeah, here we have to make sure that these kind of apps are available. Also, what I would like to say, manage apps, are the permission policies. I think it are here, right? Setup policies, which kind of apps. They're always on. I hear setting policies, and then we have it. I think it was here, or was it in the apps? I think it's always changing a little bit with the new and the old Teams Admin Center. So the point is here in the agent, we have the allowed agent types, right? So we have agents allowed by Microsoft, by your organization, and by external publisher. And here we should make sure that also our Teams app have the similar permission controls implemented. So do we want to allow Microsoft apps? Do we want to allow external publisher, third party? Does it need to be Microsoft certified, etc.? So I just don't know where it is right now, but here we have the same the same controls. Then we have Purview. The audit logs, I just will go into it really quickly. Audit, of course, here we have a search and the record types that are interesting, because we have Copilot interactions that we can use. We can use how prompts are being saved, or which prompts are being saved. We can see different kind of interactions or record types that we can leverage from to more enhance the usual usage reports that we have in the admin center with the audit logs. So here I suggest that you activate audit in Purview if you don't already have it, and get some insights on how Copilot is being really used in your organization. And the other part in sensitivity labels, of course, this can be a session itself on how sensitivity labels are being used. Here I want to go to one topic specifically regarding encryption and permission on the item level. So when I do an item label, we have one permission that can define if Copilot can process data. So here control access on data, and I can here assign permissions. And on the assign permissions, we say this is this one, the copy and extract content. This is really relevant for Copilot. So if you have allowed on this label that the data with this label can be copied and extracted, Copilot can use it in his answers and can read the files and leverage the files. If you have a label or a file with a label that doesn't have this permission activated, Copilot can find the label, but he will give you an answer that says, I cannot process the answer. if you open the file through the Copilot chat, the PDF file doesn't open, so you have to go to search it. Office files do open themselves. But here also we can leverage how Copilot processes information based on this encryption model on sensitivity labels. And the last part that we have is the M365 Apps Admin Center. This you will find at config.office.com. I don't know if most of you know this part. When I talk with my customers, not a lot of customers know this admin center. So here is the Apps Admin Center, and what I'm talking about here is the policy management, so the cloud policies. Of course, here you can create more policies for different kind of groups. I just have one for all users because it's a demo tenant that I'm using here. But what I want to look into these kind of policies is I just put here in Copilot, and I have, for example, allow web search in Copilot. This is something that you find here in the Copilot Control System as well. So when I go back here into the data access, web search for Copilot, I cannot set it here in the control system. I'm setting it directly here in the cloud policy. And here I have three possibilities. If it is not configured, then it is allowed. If I want to enable configuration, I can allow it wholeheartedly. I can disallow it for the whole organization, but I can do it more gradually. When I say in the work tab on the chat, it is disallowed and the user cannot activate it, but in the web toggle or for not licensed user, it is allowed. So in my opinion, or in my experience, we have a lot of customers that think that when they are on the work toggle in the Copilot chat, that web search is automatically deactivated. But that's not the case in default. So that's why you have to look into this control and make sure that your users understand when they are in the work toggle and web search is activated, that it uses the Bing search service to process data. Of course, here Copilot Pages and Copilot Notebooks, this is also something that you can leverage and that you can control. Also, of course, here you have to make sure that Loop as a tool is activated, because if Loop is deactivated, you cannot use Copilot Notebooks and Copilot Pages. And of course, here you have other kind of controls that you can look into that, in my opinion, are really, really crucial for first implementing Microsoft 365 Copilot and make sure that you have a good baseline on how users can use Copilot and what you want to do in an introduction or in some kind of workshop that you do with your end users. Yeah, these are the top 10s. Number 1, risk profile. We'll look again into the profile. Number 1, risk profile, the blueprint. Number 2 is the Copilot Control System that I showed you. The third part, number 4 and 5, is SharePoint, advanced management and sharing access, Teams meeting and apps policies, audit and monitoring and sensitivity labels, and the cloud policies. This is really the baseline, the absolute minimum that you have to cover when you want to implement Microsoft 365 Copilot in your organization. Now I think I'm on time. Yaya, are there any questions?
Yep, it was a nice, wonderful session. So, attendees, if you have any questions, just raise up your hands and you can shoot the questions, or else you can leave up the questions in the chat box.
Yes, please. Yeah, so thanks so much for having me. It was a real pleasure. If you have any questions, I just share again my screen. Just make a screenshot or scan this QR code you get to my LinkedIn profile. Just feel free to connect with me. Send me a message if you want to have the slides or things like that. Yeah, I'm happy to help out.
Yeah. Thank you, Purview. It was a nice session to presenting that the practical perspective of the governance. So yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for having me, and have a nice weekend.
Yeah, have a nice weekend to you.
Bye, guys. Thank you.